Some might be wondering what is going on today on December 21st, 2023, Thursday. As of yesterday, I've had my 2019 Hyundai Sonata-SE for 4 years. Yesterday ended with 122,150 miles. Exactly this time last year, or really yesterday, you get the idea. It ended with 102,535 miles. So, for this yearly cycle, I drove 19,615 miles. This is actually the least amount of miles driven in one yearly cycle. Now, granted, this low mileage is somewhat for the wrong reasons. More on that in a moment. But first, I want to show these wheels I painted myself. Maybe you've heard of me making that MGI red with 6 parts gloss sunrise red to 1 part gloss leather brown. And I finally got a spray gun last year. Well, here they are. Some say it's a tint darker than gloss regal red. Here's what the color looks like in direct sunlight. And here's the color in some shade. That's when the red is more pronounced. As you just saw, sometimes a bit of its orange comes out because of the orange issue that gloss sunrise red has. And by the way, speaking of which, this is much like the scarlet red my car is made of. Something I didn't know till much after the fact. When you add brown to red, that's actually maroon. It's burgundy is actually the one that's more purplish. Just thought I'd put that little tidbit out there. I was running on that misinformation for many years. And what you're looking at here is the car's new snowshoes. I needed new tires, that's why I redid the rims. But this is the Nokian Hakkapeliitta 10 studded. And yes, Nokian does offer factory studded tires. Go for that because you use Nokian studs and they have a certain methodology to doing it correctly. So these are very high quality studs and I can't wait to really see these in action this winter. Okay, so I'm in the comfort of my room and out of the cold wind. More importantly, out of the wind noise, because that was some fierce wind when I was outside. So the review I have for this year is unfortunately not so positive. However, taking the good with the bad, I can now at least say I found one of Hyundai's weak links, thanks to a debacle I had this past September. Now, I gotta say, for such a big conglomerate, one would think that they would better invest in the means to be better organized and have better communications, but I'd be wrong. Instead, I don't think I've ever witnessed such disorganization, such disconnect. And I gotta say, that's a real shame because prior to the debacle I have long credited Hyundai for putting their customers first and standing behind their product, especially if the customer took really good care of their car. And let me just say, dealing and maintaining this car is not cheap. The only way it seemed to have paid off is, I have a Hyundai, went to a Hyundai dealer for everything, and all the repair orders go to corporate, so they know I wasn't lying when I said I took good care of this car. And when my motor had problems, I actually qualified for an extended warranty engine. All right, great. I'm in the clear. Got a new engine, right? So I'm thinking I'm in the clear. I'm ready to go on a nice big road trip with this car. So that's exactly what me and my brother did last September, heading to Bloomington, Minnesota. Things for the most part were great. And then I'm thinking, again, what can go wrong? I got a brand new motor, right? Well, as we start to pass through Indiana, Elkhart to be exact, the check engine light comes on and the car goes into like a partial limp mode, which later turns out to be something due to the intake manifold, 2006 and 2008 code. You can Google that. I'm not going to explain that here. I could still get the car up to highway speed. It just took a long time to accelerate. I couldn't hit the accelerator pedal more than halfway. And it worked, and we got to Des Plaines, Illinois, or Des Plaines, Illinois. I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce the S, whatever. We make it to the hotel. I jiggle around the mechanism a little bit, and believe it or not, the check engine light actually went away. So great, I was able to use it for Labor Day, so me and my brother can go shopping at a mall not far from Des Plaines. Everything was going good until I decided to send the car to a car wash. A lot of bug splatter on the windshield. All right, well, let me get the car all nicely clean for our next 6-hour stint to Minnesota. That's when disaster strikes and the P1326 NOx sensor code comes in, putting it in complete limp mode. Thankfully, there's a Hyundai dealer about 4 miles down the road. AutoNation Hyundai Eau Claire to be exact. Now, normally I don't mention names and I have a bad experience, but I know I'm being truthful and there's still somewhat of an ongoing case from corporate, so I'm going to mention names. I don't care. Now, Obviously, the dealer was not open on Labor Day. Fine. Fair enough. I paid my due diligence. I left all the information that could possibly need to be left on that envelope. My car's info, my primary dealer's info, Healy, and who they could talk to at Healy. Who's my guy I talked to at Healy. And then that was all I could do that day. So the next day comes. It's Tuesday, the next day. The dealer opens at 7. However, the Enterprise rental place doesn't open till 9. And for those 2 hours, I could get a hold of absolutely nobody. Maybe I can get a hold of sales or parts. I try to tell my situation, say, hey, look, no one in service is answering the phone. Fine. They just transfer me. It just rings away. Nothing I can do till I can finally get a hold of a rental, get to the dealership with my rental, talk with the service writer, and let them know that this was going on. And her only answer is, well, this just happens. That was pretty much her only answer. Explained to me, look, I'm a tow-in, I'm out of town. It's going to be a while to get to it. Fine. Fair enough. I made sure she knew everything she needed to know, especially the big one being, hey, I'm under an extended warranty. So, me and my bro get the hell out of Des Plaines, head to Minnesota. Had a grand old time at the Mall of America. Spent the whole week there, but when I was around day 3 there, I'm like, I want to check up on Auto Nation, see if they got anything. Just no luck. Couldn't get a hold of them. Finally get fed up. I finally call corporate, tell them my situation, and the lady puts me on hold. She tries calling them, and she's like, yeah, something ain't right here. This is unacceptable, and she mentioned all the ROs from Healy. So corporate, I know for a fact now, has access to this information. So I'm thinking, oh, look at that. They're standing behind the product. They're going to do something about the problem. They see a problem. They're doing something about it. What I've always praised Hyundai for. So she starts a case number, signs the case manager, tells me I'll hear from the case manager at the end of the week or thereabouts. So I'm fine. Fair enough. Have a grand old time. Leave Minnesota in a rental. Get back home. Finally hear from my case manager. And seemed Johnny on the spot, too. He explained to me that, there's certain protocols in situations like this. All the rest, fine. So it has to take a few days. But it sounds like they're onto it. But here's where things start to unravel. This guy gets sick. He had to be out the day he was supposed to call the district manager and get the district manager over to that dealership. Now it kind of, quote-unquote, resets, if you will. So let me just first say, I am not going to be mad at somebody for getting sick or having health problems. Not everyone's blessed with good health. I'm not going to blame the individual. That's a Hyundai problem, okay? That's a Hyundai problem that their system is set up so when a case manager or somebody like a case manager is out, everything just comes to a halt. And then if they're chronically sick, well, as you can see, this has been dragging on now. So short of it, I get denied the special tow. Because I had made a very compelling case why I don't want those guys to touch my car. I mean, O'Hare was not even competent enough to maintain just the most basic of communications. I don't want them touching my car. And they're trying to sell me all this other work I didn't need and turn out to be covered. Now, the case manager is corporate. Couldn't he have told O'Hare that, hey, this is covered, get the work done? No. Or that if I wanted to get it out of there, I'd have to pay to have it shipped out of there. And I did pay that price. And then if I could prove it was under warranty, which obviously Healy helped prove that for me once it got back to Beacon in Healy, 5 weeks later, then I'll get reimbursed, which is another Hyundai problem. And I'm going to say is one of the most cockamamie, convoluted things I have ever heard of in my nearly 2 decades of messing with cars. So I got a Hyundai product under a Hyundai warranty. I went to a Hyundai dealer. And, at some place in corporate or another, they do have information to all the repair orders that are ever written for that particular car, any car. Not just my car, obviously. But yeah, this is the biggest mess I have ever seen. It's contingent on the customer to prove the car is under warranty. And I had done that legwork. All O'Hare had to do was just call Healy, but they couldn't be bothered. And then corporate was changing around their phone systems for the case managers. So just ongoing reason I could never get a hold of that guy, or he was always out. And look, I don't want to make this thing 2 hours either, but the bottom line is, even now, it's frickin' Christmas, and I still haven't been reimbursed yet for what I never should have had to shell out in the first place. And here's where it gets even crazier. So, turns out my case manager was on a medical leave. Some other guy takes over the case. All right, so I have to resend everything. He sends me an email requesting all the PDFs of all the receipts, but then I don't hear from the new guy. I get my old case manager back. He explains to me he's now on a medical leave, and now we're already at the beginning of this month, so the holidays are around the corner, and he even made a point of telling me there might be delays now because the holidays are coming. So always something ending in Y. But don't worry, don't worry. He made sure he said the magic words. Yes, the textbook corporate, sorry for the inconvenience. No, 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 no. This is beyond an inconvenience. This is a slap in the face. This car laid down on me when it never should have. It failed me when I needed it the most. The whole idea of buying it new and taking good care of it, and that was not cheap, was to prevent that. And then for the 5 weeks my car had to be stuck in Chicago, I had to drive my truck around. Running that truck ain't cheap. And then I put the mileage on that truck in 2.5 months that normally takes almost a year to put on it. So now I had to do all these other services to my truck, thousands of dollars in maintenance that I wasn't prepared to spend this year. I'll go as far to say this was a financial detriment. So this is beyond an inconvenience. You know what? If a certain creature comfort of the car didn't work right, or the car was just not running its best, but at least got me through the vacation and could wait till I got back home, that would be an inconvenience. But we're beyond that. So that's my problem with all this. And believe me, I have skipped no opportunity to say to my case manager that if I wanted to risk being in this situation, I would have just bought something used for half the price. But especially now that I'm not driving the amount I used to, who knows? Maybe this is going to be my last new car, because as I've been saying for years now, the newer they get, the more they suck. Now, that's not to say, and I'm not going to take away all the good things about this car and all the other ways this car stepped up to the plate for me, especially when my truck decided to let me down. And even now, as I'm ranting and babbling, this car still stands to be one of the best 4-cylinders I've ever owned. If this car bombs out on me right now, this is probably one of the best 4-cylinder cars I've ever owned. Certainly better than my Corolla or my Cobalt, for sure. And that's what makes this such a shame and so disappointing. And I will say, the new motor is doing great. Not burning oil. I just did the last oil change myself about 3,500 miles ago. Hasn't burned a quart of oil. So it's mainly electrical problems that is causing all this. And I did say, and this is why I was fighting to get it shipped over to Healy, if anyone was going to put this car's problems to bed, it was going to be Healy. And sure enough, after I had to wait on the new intake manifold, the back-ordered intake manifold, the car didn't make it home. But unlike O'Hare, Healy jumped on it like a ton of bricks. They actually found a problem in the connector, and who's not to say that this could have perhaps been the problem all along? I don't know. And here's the other crazy, crazy thing here. There has not been a heavy rainstorm since its last repair, that I could drive this in. So I'm driving around in this car, and I don't know for sure if this problem's been put to bed yet. I don't know. I mean, it's got a lot of pep to it. This thing moves, and that's what makes it so frustrating, is that this is actually a good car when it decides to work right. I just don't know what I have right now. Do I have a good car that's finally fixed? Am I about to get rid of a good car for nothing and needlessly put myself in debt for nothing? Or do I have a ticking time bomb that I better get rid of now while it's still worth a decent buck? I don't know what I have here, and I paid what I paid to buy this thing new and take care of it so I wouldn't be in this predicament. And you don't have to be a car person at all to know that it's just BS that someone should have to be afraid to go out with a 4-year-old car that's been taken care of. And look, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to disclose exactly how much I spent on maintenance in this car in the last 4 years. But let's just say, of all the cars in our family and fleet, this is the car that we should have been able to count on the most, and it's screwed up big time. Anyhow, that's really all I've got to say. I know this is not my most positive review of this car, but look, I just tell it like it is. I have brand loyalty to nothing. I tell it like it is. I'm not going to start making excuses for something when it's screwed up, because I'll be damned if I make that mistake ever again. This is what you got to look out for as a Hyundai owner. In the case of me, even though I had a Hyundai product under a Hyundai warranty and went to a Hyundai dealer, I still got to jerk around with all this, and that's not how it should be, especially for how expensive these cars are going to be. Hopefully this is helpful. As always, any and all input is greatly appreciated. And hey, if you had a similar experience, feel free to say so in the comments area. Have a good Christmas, be safe out there, and don't be a stranger.